it is the worst year in aviation history for us. We're looking at net losses of something like $84 billion for 2020. Demand is still a big issue. It's not just fear of flying, it's also the recession that this pandemic has caused.
And of course, Conrad, this has hit airlines particularly hard, many of them suffering losses, many also still struggling to survive. Tell me, do you think passengers are going to have to pay more as the industry gets back on its feet to fly? I'm curious to know how you're reading the current demand environment and how that is going to be linked to prices in the future. Are airlines going to be charging us more as they get out of this crisis?
I think airlines are going to need to stimulate demand. So that suggests that we won't see significantly higher prices. And that's going to present a challenge because with a much reduced profile of activity, actually airlines are really going to need to charge more. But on the other hand, if they want to stimulate the markets, they need to make it attractive for people to fly again. So that's a challenge for airlines. We're seeing some silver lining in terms of cargo volumes and cargo revenues. And we've seen people restart domestic aviation. So far, in some markets, prices have gone up. In other markets, and these are domestic markets in Asia Pacific, they've remained pretty much the same. So it's a mixed bag.
How much longer until you think we will start to hear from airlines essentially pulling up stumps and saying enough is enough, we can no longer operate when we can't put our planes into the sky?
I think we've probably reached the bottom already, to be very honest with you, and you've seen a number of airlines go out of business, and there have been talk of airlines also consolidating. So I think we are probably we've probably seen the worst. But the problem is, when is it going to reopen again? And that's what's really concerning airlines around the world. When are we actually going to be able to carry passengers again in a way that works financially and economically?
Will government support, do you think, inevitably have to continue until 2021?
I think it has to, because initially we thought this would be a V-shaped recovery like SARS, a big drop, and then a big bounce back up again. But actually, it's not turning out like that at all with COVID, and we're seeing secondary waves and spikes that actually are meaning that governments can't open their borders. And that means that people can't easily travel by air. So while that situation continues, I think governments have got to come to the assistance of airlines, yes.
We did hear from Qantas in Australia just in the last week or so saying that it will not be offering any international bookings until March 2021. Is that a realistic time frame, do you think?
It is, because the problem is that we're not seeing the COVID pandemic really being brought under control, with, as I say, with these secondary waves. And most recently, we've had the spike in Victoria in Australia, for example. We've had Hong Kong, we've had Japan domestic. And because of that uncertainty, it's very difficult to say when international will actually restart.